Stair started off a little bit shallow, but we did end up getting that move back to the low past the open and closing near towards the low once again on a spike. So we're kind of getting this stair stepping down. And when we have these days, right, and it's not to say that it's kind of gonna for sure just pop up, but you get, because of the sentiment, right? And we've had people just being like, "Ah, oh, the market's crashing," for basically ever, all the time. Um, they're saying this is it's going to crash, it's going to crash, and so now they get this. We saw a little bit of this yesterday, but they get a little bit over or ahead of themselves, where they're so happy that their trade's working, and they start taking profit, right? And we saw that yesterday. We got a little bit of a bounce yesterday. It's shake out some of those weak shorts, and then then the selling kind of continued, and we traded right back up to that equilibrium once again. So the second day in a row trading off that equilibrium. That's what I'm saying. If we get a close today, even if we get a rally, but we get a close below this 47.68, the odds start to increase that 4700 becomes the target. I'm not ruling out a rally today. And when we look at the profile, we'll kind of see a little bit closer detail. But right, value's still developing lower. So these are these 4 days of these last 4 days of one time framing lower, and you could see value, right? So value's been lower, and yesterday we finally got some overlapping to lower value. So kind of the first step of slowdown, right? We kind of got, that's why I was saying that step got a little bit more shallow here, kind of saying not as many people are willing to sell. And what I think is they would be willing to sell maybe up here or up in that 80. So if we did get a short covering rally that led up to that 80, then you probably see some sellers start to come in. Now you can see in the Globex session, we traded lower all the way down to like 47. What's this low? 47.02 here. We traded down to 47.02. Since rallied, since the news came out, right? We got that unemployment rate. The market has bounced pretty significantly and is now trading, close to yesterday's low. So it will be interesting to see if we open up on a gap. It depends if these momentum traders try to pile in. But remember, with this being a negative 4 day, we had a negative 4 day yesterday, ended on a spike, and here's the settle. We have to be cautious about these shorts above the settle, right? Because this is momentum building and we're getting a spike, right? Typically, spikes should act as resistance. That's what the market profile, and I'm using air quotes, rules tell us. But it's not always like that. And so we want to use our good judgment and refrain from using biases, or just remember the fundamentals of the profile that tell us that there is no concrete rules, that everything is like the pirate's code, right? Everything's more like guidelines. And so we want to stay with that mindset and not just assume, well, it's just keeps going down, it keeps going down, we want to get short. Now, that being said, there is some opportunity here. Should we get back inside yesterday's range and get unable to get into yesterday's value and break back below the settle, I think there's some opportunity there to get short against this low. But if you get short and it breaks back above that low, you probably want to be getting out. I'm going to be looking really for a higher move and get rid of these singles user from yesterday. I'm going to be looking for a higher move. This was our sell zone from yesterday. Maybe back to yesterday's point of control. We did kind of have a small double distribution yesterday before that liquidation in the end of the period. So you could be looking for that 50 area, right? A rally to that 50 area. Look for it to get weak there and try to sell it back down to this value area low of this 38. It's going to be a tough day, I think. We do have some news at 10 o'clock that may move the market. And so what you want to be looking for, right, or just be a little bit patient and see what we get in this first half hour. It might be, better opportunity to just go ahead and sit patient and wait for this first half hour to end. And then we should get some more information, especially with that news coming out at the top of the hour. Overnight inventory is pretty much already corrected, right? We were pretty short. Now we're back to the settle. So we can kind of assume that, most of the overnight traders that were short down here at the low are probably stopped out. Any momentum traders that piled in short, trying to catch the short that were too late, are probably stopped out. You took the 24-hour trade. You had a nice trade here. 24-hour trade that we've been setting up is when we get this settled. When we go away from it, once we come back through it, we look to get short. Right? You could have had a nice trade if you had held it for a longer period of time. If you held too long, it's back to zero. So that'll be interesting. And remember, at this low here, let's zoom this out a little bit. At this low here, we're at the low of a balance. So this balance low is basically right at this like 40 level. So the market's looking for acceptance below this balance. If it gets acceptance, the next real volume point of control or volume ledges besides the 4,700, you got 60 and 40. Those are our volume ledges below. And we have this bigger upper distribution, and you kind of have a double distribution in this larger balance here. So that's really what we have got to pay attention to, and kind of the first sign of acceptance back up into this, or failure really to break down below balance and acceptance into the upper balance, would be failure to hold below this 29.50 or yesterday's settle. So in between this 30 and 40 level is really where your opportunity is going to come in today. If not, you're going to have to be a little bit more patient looking for that short, looking for value to build lower. Now, with that being said, yesterday we had very light volume, which was interesting. That seemed more like a liquidation than anything, because it didn't really seem like new money was piling in to push this market lower, and which is why I'm kind of cautious of a short covering rally today. I think maybe you may see a shakeout of these short money traders. We do get the COT report today, which will be nice. We get a little bit of information as of last Tuesday, so it's a little bit of stale data, but we can just see what they were up to on Monday or on Tuesday, because Tuesday they were selling the market. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. Those are the two kind of things I'm looking for. Remember also that it's Friday. You don't want to be giving back all of your gains for the week if you've had a positive week. And if you've had a negative week, you don't want to be trying to make up for all the losses that you've had. Just remember to stick to the plan. And really the plan is to monitor for developing value, but with caution because of the negative 4-day yesterday. And like I said, I would say like between 30 and 40 is really kind of your only options. Above 40, we get above 40, we've got to be very cautious of the sell side until we get closer to that 60 level. If you were to take these two profiles and jam them together, this is kind of the value area that I'm going to play today. So that's what I'll go ahead and just mark here. This is the value area that I'm going to be looking to play today. So somewhere in here would be the opportune area to get value overlapping to lower. It's a very large area, about 20 points. But, obviously you manage risk to your own accord. And then as far as the stop goes, or your targets on some of these trades. Yesterday's value area was about 17.25 points. So you could either round that up to 4, round it down to 3. You could slice it down the middle, call it 3.5. It's up to you, but that's probably a safe bet for today. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. Make sure that you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And I will see you guys on Monday.